Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Hashtag Behind Relationship Goals. Soba is right here, and Bonizi is right there, and Fofo is right here.
Welcome back to another episode of Hashtag Behind Relationship Goals. It's another Sunday, and finally we're on time again. Love it.
We will try to continue to be on time. Actually, we will not try, we will just do it.
We will make sure that it happens.
So, the topic for today's podcast is all about social media. Now, I feel like we've done this topic before, but because it's an ever-growing, ever-evolving organism that social media is, it's always nice to talk about it from time to time to see how things have changed. And of course, to reminisce on social media's past.
When did you start using a computer ba?
When did I start using a computer?
How old were you?
Oh, I remember this specifically. This was at 1994 when we moved to our new house, because when we got a new house, my dad also bought a new PC. It was a compact, and it was my first time to see a PC, and I was like, whoa, what is that beige box?
A beige box.
And I don't think anybody in the house knew what to do with it, because my dad bought all these accessories which were unused. It was like a zip file drive, a printer that was way more advanced than we needed at the time. So it was just weird, but it was nice that my dad and my mom were willing to try out some new tech back in 1994.
We didn't have a computer back at home, but I remember when I was in school that we had a class where we could learn about computers. And I was really young at this point. But I also remember a beige box. I don't remember what brand it was. But we were probably in like kinder or the first grade. And they made us do this class where we had to navigate this little character from point A to point B. And it was basically just teaching us how to use the controls of this device.
Now that we've discussed our first computers, let's move on to the topic at hand, social media. So Bonizi, have we not discussed this yet?
Social media in general, no. We would like lightly discuss it lang.
Okay, so what was your first social media platform?
I don't remember exactly what it was, but something that really sticks out to me is Neopets. Does that count?
No, that's a game, I think.
No, but like, okay, so let me justify.
Go.
Neopets had a game aspect, but they also had a guild aspect where you could join guilds and you could interact with people. And it's not technically social media because you're not posting anything about yourself or your real life, but you're being social. And I think that counts for that matter.
I'm sold, it counts.
Okay, so Neopets, woo!
For me, it would be somewhere along the lines of IRC and Yahoo Messenger.
Wait, MIRC?
Yeah, MIRC, Yahoo
chat?
Messenger, and ICQ. So those were my very, very first social media platforms
Okay.
from your definition. But in terms of the broader definition, I would say that my first one would easily be Friendster.
Wait, can I just go back to MIRC? Because
Yeah.
I remember before, nakipag-away ako sa MIRC kasi binabash nila yung F4 dati. Pinagtatanggol ko yung F4.
Okay, so you were that kind of chat
Yeah,
user.
I was like, I'm gonna make sure that this person doesn't bash my favorite people in the world.
Okay, you know what? For the younger viewers and listeners of this podcast, I think it's actually interesting if we talk about our state of mind when it came to our first experiences with the social media. Because for them, social media is ubiquitous.
normal.
It's normal.
It's so
It's always
normal.
been there. It's like walking and running and
Yeah.
eating and drinking. But for us, when I first encountered a chat room in MIRC or Yahoo Messenger or ICQ, I was like, wow, am I gonna talk to a stranger?
Yeah, or like, will I be able to talk to my crush anonymously? May mga ganyan eh. Kasi before like all the social media, you would need to get like somebody's phone number talaga, or you would have to talk to them in person for you to actually have some interaction. So being able to chat with somebody in real time was just so cool for us at that moment.
Bones, not just cool. It was an adolescent moment.
Yeah.
I studied in a school that was all boys. I would not see any other of the other sex. So this was my first encounter, basically. I was like, oh my God, do I get to talk to a girl? And of course, I had no idea what to do, but I did have an older brother. He was 2 years older than me, and that was a huge gap when you're young. So he's the one who taught me about ASL.
ASL!
So what is ASL? Age?
Sex and location.
And location. And I was like, ASL, ASL, ASL. I would just ASL everyone, not knowing what was happening. And then it was so cool that someone would say, oh yeah, same age, opposite sex, and then Canada. And I'd be like, ooh, mom, I'm talking to someone in Canada. It's like, I didn't realize what was happening. It was just all such a spectacular and fantastical moment for me at that time. It's like ASL, ASL. And then you would hear people getting like love partners through chat and everything. And you're like, whoa, that can happen. So, wow. You know what? Now that I took that road down memory lane, that was actually quite an experience.
It was actually pretty cool that you mentioned yung mga Yahoo because before like Instagram and we had like the mall shows, diba? Before like Facebook Lives, you would have to actually go out to see people that you idolized or people that you loved watching. But there was a certain point when I would use Yahoo as a point to connect with people that followed me. So people that would regularly post about me like on their Friendster or whatever, parang I would able to get in touch with them and see parang, okay, you follow pala our shows. And that I thought that was a really cool experience back then.
Yeah, I had none of that back then. I was just like, eventually after I got over the thrill of talking to a stranger, I just started changing the skins of the programs, and that's what...
Me too!
I just found that one super fun. I would look for super cool skins. Of course, almost all of them sucked when you think about it retrospectively. But that was definitely something that I liked, the customizability that the programs gave and less the social aspect.
Okay, so now let's go into one of the first platforms that we used for social media na talaga, which was Friendster. So Friendster was this place, it was there before Facebook, but it was kind of like the same concept. You got to add friends, you got to send them messages, but what was really cool about Friendster was that you could put testimonials on somebody's Friendster page.
Yep.
So testimonials would be something where you write something that you like about this person maybe
or you write however you feel about this person.
Yeah, so parang it was pretty cool kasi that would be like my Instagram account before. It was a place to show your personality, a place for people to get to know you more, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I think everybody found it so cool because it was a way for them to find insight on what other people thought about them.
You.
And that was impossible because you don't go up to a person and say, hey, what do you really think about me? So writing a testimonial for someone and receiving a testimonial was kind of a safe space because you don't see their reaction and they don't see my reaction to it. So parang you have more confidence to write something. Or even if it's something you would not say in person,
you would have more confidence
you would
to say it.
have that different vibe to say, oh, okay, I'm gonna write this. So especially pag may mga crush, at kahit sa mga my friends, yung mga barkadahan, iba yung dating ng testimonial. And I think that's the first time talaga that social media gave individuals a different kind of power, no?
Ano siya, parang when you would see somebody, you'd be like, uy, pa-testy naman dyan.
Yeah, testy is the weird word of the podcast for today.
Pa-testy naman dyan. But it was so funny because that was also during my emo phase, Fofo. So I remember my Facebook being very like grunge and dark. And my photos were all of me in like dark makeup. Tapos nakaganon ako lagi, mga ganyan. Tapos yung bangs ko, nakatakip sa mata ko. So it was a very interesting side of me that other people wouldn't normally see on TV.
Did you have a lot of friends on Friendster?
I added everyone.
So you had a lot of friends.
I had like 3 accounts.
I did not have any friends on. I had so little.
Oh.
I didn't know anybody. I was a shrimp because I would only play video games. Let's admit that the number of friends that you had was a big thing.
It's like it's kind of like a popularity contest.
If you had 3 accounts, you were like, oh yeah, come on, so many friends.
Tapos may ano pa yan, the real. Parang nilalagay pa, the real Megan. But this was also the time when I was already in show business.
Oh, no wonder. Okay.
So I was, yes, I was around 15, 16 at this time. But I was already working. I was already on TV. So parang this was another level to it already.
Yeah, well for me, I would just see people and they would have so many friends, like in the triple digits. And I was like, And they would fill it up kasi may friend limit, diba? And I was like, wow, how did they do that? So in my head, I was like, this is crazy. I was so confounded seeing the kinds of social circles that other people had. Because me, it was just my video games and basketball. That's all I had in my life.
So wait, I don't remember if sabay yung MySpace and Facebook.
I think it was around
the same time, no? Halos the same time.
Maybe around the same time as Multiply. So I will talk about Multiply. Bonizi wants to talk about MySpace because she was on it. I was never on that platform.
Oh, really?
Never. The way I see it, MySpace wasn't a Filipino thing.
It wasn't.
It was more of a Friendster thing in the Philippines.
Yeah, yung MySpace was, I got into that whole MySpace thing because of my online friends. So these were the people that I knew through my blogs, people that I was kagilled with and like Neopets and all that stuff. So that's one of the reasons why I got into MySpace. And I loved it because I could follow my favorite music artists and I could see what was new with them. But at the same time, when I joined MySpace, hindi pa ako nasa showbiz nito. Parang it was just before I joined showbiz and I realized na parang, bakit sila ang dami-daming nag-a-add sa kanila? Bakit sa akin walang nag-a-add? At this point, Starstruck 1 was out and my favorite there was Jenny Lynn. So I was like, I don't have a nice picture to post. I'll just use Jenny Lynn's picture as my picture in my profile photo. And after I put her picture as mine, ang dami nag-a-add sa akin, but I never chatted with anyone. I just really wanted a nice photo and I didn't have a camera to take a photo of myself. Kasi wala naman camera yung mga cellphone natin noon. So, I wasn't catfishing anyone, let's be real. But I did use her photo and I did get a lot of ads on that account.
You were somewhat catfishing without knowing it,
yeah,
in a way.
But I just wanted to use her photo because she was so pretty. But I had no ill intentions.
Yeah. So while Bonizi talks about MySpace, I want to talk about Multiply. For those who are unaware, Multiply is a social media site where you share photos. So basically you have a website and you just dump all your photos in it. And this became super popular because this was exactly the time that digital cameras became super popular. So I associated to tech because that's what I was into at that time. And these digital cameras, super bongga na. 1 megapixel.
Yeah.
2 megapixel. Yeah. And then when it started to get to the 3.2 megapixel, we were like, whoa, amazing, super high resolution cameras. And it was crazy because it was also expensive. And I remember Sony came out with super cute looking ones and I always wanted one. But of course, when I was in school, I never had money to buy my own stuff, more so anything that cost more than 1,000 pesos.
Here's a fun story about Multiply because around the same time that Multiply came out, I didn't have a camera, but I always wanted to post photos of what I was doing, kung ano yung mga pinupuntahan namin. And it just so happened that one day while we were in Subic, Victor and Lauren came home from a walk and they're like, we found a camera.
What?
At the side. No, I'm not. Nakapulot sila ng camera on the side of the road. And what was...
Sino yung hinold up nila?
No. It was just like in the gutter. And then we checked the photos. There were no photos on it. Like there was like a photo of a tree. And we're just like, well, I guess we're gonna keep it because saan pa ba natin ibibigay to? I mean, we live in the forest.
Yeah.
Diba? Wala naman mga mga clubhouse or mga association or something like that where you could actually give this item to. So we held on to it for a couple of days and realized that nobody was going to claim this. So we kept this camera. And what was so cool about it was it flipped open. Like there was the screen that could flip open.
Oh wow, that was cool. Yeah.
Yung mga camera, walang ganun nun.
Oh, wala pang flippy screen.
And you couldn't take selfies before. It was so hard. So we used that camera till it like broke down because we could finally take photos that we could use for our social media sites.
Oh, how old were you?
I was probably mga 17. 17, 18 at this point.
Multiply for me was quite crucial because this was during high school and this was the time that I became aware that there were pretty girls in the world. And this is the first time that it mattered in my life. So soirees started happening in school, maybe like second year high school, third year high school. And I was like, oh, girls, oh my God, this is amazing. And it was my way of kind of like stalking the girls that I liked.
So you could see like, oh, she went to the beach today.
Let me be honest. So you would check their Multiply, and then it sucked when Multiply suddenly started making things private. You had to be friends or something like that.
Yeah, you had to add them.
And I was so sad because, like I said, I had no friends. So I was never connected enough to anyone. So especially when I had a crush, I just wanted to see, oh, okay, I want to see a photo of her. I could never see it when Multiply added that private feature. And that kind of sucked for me.
Do you think you still have your Multiply?
No. I checked. I don't have it. And I don't think I have photos on it anyway.
You just use it as a stalking mechanism?
Yeah, no, I was just so intrigued. Okay, you guys have to understand, and Bonizi, you have to understand that I was a gamer and baller only. So I really had no social life in second or third year high school.
Even with your A-boyfriends?
Yeah. At the time, I started super late. I started end of third year high school.
So
and
you
fourth
started
year.
talking to them around that time at the end of high school?
Around the end of third year high school.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, Bones, wala talaga. I had nothing, okay? I was just into basketball and video games, and that was it. So the few times na, oh wow, I think, yeah, girls, cool. But when I think about girlfriends, I was like, hell no, I don't need a girlfriend.
You know, that is such an interesting story. I did not know this about you because I always knew that you were an introvert, but I didn't know that you didn't have friends or you didn't interact with people till you were in your
With
last...
the girls, at least.
Sabi mo, wala kang friends.
No, I meant girlfriends.
Ikaw naman. Akala ko wala kang friends na
No,
guys.
dude, of course I had guy friends.
That's what I
I
asked you.
studied
Your
in an
A-boy
all-boys
friends.
school. Oh, okay. I thought you meant my A-boy friends and the girls that they had.
Oh, okay. So, may friends ka naman pala.
Yeah,
Okay, yun naman pala.
So the importance of Multiply and Friendster for me at the time was that I would be able to check out how the heartthrobs of the different schools looked. Syempre, everybody would say, uy, yung heartthrob ni Miriam, sa Miriam College, ito yung pangalan niya. Yung heartthrob dun sa Poveda, sa Assumption, or kung saan mang mga school. You're like, eto. So I would search and I was like, ito yun. Because syempre, you would never be able to put a face to the name.
Yeah, because there wasn't social media like Instagram, diba?
So
like you couldn't just search them up.
Exactly. So the fact that I had that opportunity and I was in school and I would never go out, I would just play basketball and video games, it made me so intrigued. So it was a new world opening up to me. I was like, ooh, that's how they look. Oh, they're kind of pretty.
So parang girls were like aliens to you?
Hindi naman. It's just that I would never really encounter them as much.
Talaga? Kahit na nasa katipunan kayo?
Yeah. I was not one of those cool guys who would walk over to Miriam. No, definitely not. There was a group of guys in our batch, yung mga cool dudes, and then they had girlfriends and everything. I did not have that. I was a baller, yeah, and I was a gamer, yeah, but in terms of yung chicks, wala.
Wala kang chicks.
Wala akong chicks. Although I would imagine that you would be friends with those cool dudes.
No, fofo. Don't you remember my stories about me in high school? I was like a geek and I would just hang out with my friends.
Okay, fine, maybe not.
Yeah, definitely. They would not even look at me once.
Gotcha.
For sure.
Okay, so now we move on. Okay, we progressed from the stone age of social media to a more developed era of social media. And what do we start with?
Let's start with Facebook.
Facebook, okay, good.
Facebook, because I specifically remember being introduced to Facebook by a friend because somebody was like, oh, you're not on Facebook? You're just on MySpace? Ew. Sinabi niya sa akin. Basta she was like, oh, you're not on Facebook? Ew. Parang yung cool people nasa Facebook and we're sending each other virtual drinks. You don't have that on MySpace. So parang na-peer pressure ako nung time na yon. I was like, wow, am I really that uncool that I'm not on Facebook like these other people? Parang she instilled that in my head na cool ka lang kung nasa Facebook ka at nagsisend ka ng martini sa isa't isa.
Okay, so for me and Facebook, you have to look at my past in Friendster and Multiply.
Okay.
Nah, I wasn't big on friends. I wasn't giving out a lot of testimonials, and people weren't giving me a lot of testies either. So my fondness for social media didn't really grow that much.
Okay.
So when it came to Facebook, my attitude was like, oh, Another one? So am I gonna sign up for this again and do the whole thing again of like adding and then like writing on their wall or whatever? So I was actually quite averse to it now. I was like, this is wasting my time. So I'm not gonna sign up to Facebook. But what did get me to finally sign up was when Facebook eventually had games. So when my gamer friend said, oh yeah, there are these fun games on it, I was like, oh, okay, I'm in. So that's what eventually got me on Facebook games.
Wait, did you play Farmville and Pet Society?
I played one of those kinds of games. I'm not sure anymore which ones.
I played Pet Society and Farmville like cray.
I used to play an idle game on Facebook called Castle Age. I used to play that with my cousin, and now I'm not surprised why I'm fond of idle games on my mobile phone. So after Facebook, we move on to Twitter. So Bonezi, how do you feel about Twitter, and what was your initiation into the Twitterverse?
My initiation into the Twitterverse was a couple of celebrities that I knew had already been on Twitter, and they're like, I got like 10,000 followers. And I was like, wow, that's so cool, 10,000 followers. Because when it came to like Friendster and Multiply, having tens of thousands of followers, wow, that was a lot.
That was impossible, I think.
It was so hard. Like, how would you get the word out for other people to join and then actually follow your account? So even me just getting to 5,000 was super cool at that time because I didn't think that I could reach that many followers that fast. When they were signing up, they would put like their real names, and I was thinking, am I gonna put my real name here? Parang medyo gusto kong lokohin ng konti yung username ko dito. Because I didn't think that Twitter was going to last that long. I thought it was just like a fun thing that you could do and put statuses from time to time. So I was thinking, maybe Megan Young, but with a twist. So let's make Young Tagalog and make it Megan Bata. So that's how my username came up. And that's how I started with Twitter. Honestly, I was just playing around with it. I didn't think it was anything serious, but I also didn't want to put anything too personal on it.
For me, I never really thought much about Twitter because when people told me, oh, it's a 140-word message that they post, and I'm like, that is so useless.
Para ka nag-text.
I was like, what in the world is that? They're just putting down their thoughts. I mean, you already have Facebook for that. And with that, you can put a photo on it.
Yeah.
Why do I just want to see words?
Kasi wala pang photo yung Twitter noon.
So I completely did not understand the pull of Twitter. I mean, I wasn't in showbiz yet.
Yeah.
So more so, I didn't understand. But I had zero incentive to join Twitter. The only reason I eventually joined was when I got to work, people were starting to get Twitter and they were starting to tweet. So I was like, okay, since it's part of my job, let me try and get Twitter and see what's up. It's interesting. It's more like a news feed for me nowadays.
Sa akin din, the main channels that I follow are mostly news on Twitter.
And I look out for tweets about my teleserye. And now we move on to one of the most popular, or what I would consider the most used social media app for me. That is Instagram.
When Instagram first came out, it was Mikael that actually introduced it to me. And he was like, there's this really cool app that you should download because you can take photos and they have filters. And then you can just post it. Diba? Don't you remember? And I dissed you for it. I was like, huh? Why would I want to do that? I can do that on Facebook.
I actually used Instagram in a weird way because I loved the filters. Absolutely. And I think I loved the filters because I knew that you loved Lomo.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, okay, I can show this to Bones and I can, make filtered photos for her as well. So what I would do is I would take a photo on Instagram and it would save to my phone, but I would never post it.
Yeah.
So that's all I would do. I would just use Instagram for the filter feature, and that was it.
Did you ever think that Twitter and Instagram could be our job, or it could be like a source of income for us?
Or be what it is now, which
Yeah.
is a marketing giant. It is one of the main marketing tools that brands use, that individuals, small businesses, medium businesses, and big businesses. It is a mainstay in their arsenal of marketing tools. And I never thought that it would become this. Although, when people started talking about it na, uy, may nabayaran daw to post on Twitter. When was your first memory of that? Because a friend told me, someone who was working in an agency, and she said, uy, may nabayaran daw, like this for a tweet. And I was like, what? They got paid for a tweet? And at first I was like, what? That's so weird. And then eventually when I would hear more of those kinds of stories, it made sense because it was like TV. People
Yes.
pay for advertisements because you have eyeballs watching the TV. You have eyeballs on these platforms. So I was like, okay. And that was the first time that social media really piqued my interest.
I didn't have that many followers at this point. Parang now I have like 1 point something, I think, on Twitter. But I wasn't even near that when I got my first offer for a paid Twitter post. And I got paid 10% of my followers. Like,
Oh, wow.
So, for example,
So that's how they rated it.
if I had 10,000 followers, I got paid
1,000 pesos.
yes. That's how much I got paid. And I was like, yes, let's go. All I have to do is tweet. Let's do this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I couldn't even believe it because before we would use promos on TV programs and we would promote them at the end of the guesting. But now there was a way that we could promote different brands through our own social media accounts.
And fast forward to now, it's just a juggernaut. You can tweet, you can post on Instagram, post on Facebook, and you have various kinds of content that you can post, from photos to stories to videos to longer form IGTVs to super long form YouTube videos. It's insane how social media has evolved because the
Yeah.
time that we're talking about was exactly 11 years ago. That's when we started.
Yeah, we started this social media thing when we started dating. And at that point, we were really just using it as for fun. Like we would post like the most random stuff on our Instagram account. And when you look back at our very first posts, we had some random stuff. Like I posted like a picture of me and my siblings just standing lang. Parang ano ginagawa nila? You posted a photo of a tissue box. Who knows why you did that? But we would post the most random stuff on our social media. We didn't have to think about what we wanted to post. We just did it because we wanted to.
And now all these social media platforms are basically a rite of passage for any of the Gen Zers or Gen whatevers growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like getting your driver's license. When do your parents allow you to get Instagram? When do they allow you to get Facebook? When do they allow you to get a cell phone? So it's become part of their growing up.
And I also think it's so cool because back when I started in showbiz, there were very limited ways for you to enter show business. Parang it would either be a reality show or you had to have connections or you had to be at the right place at the right time. It has paved way for so many social media stars and it has given fame, it has given
Influence.
it's also given means of working. 'Di ba? It's given people sources of income na hindi nila akalain na pwede palang kumita sa ganitong bagay.
Okay, Bonizi, I have a question. What do you say to the rhetoric when people say that social media is bad, inherently bad?
I think that anything in excess is bad for you. I mean, even healthy stuff. If you take too much of it and don't have a balance, then it might not be as good for your body. If you work out too much, it's not good for your body also. So, kailangan laging may balance when it comes to social media. And I admittedly, before, I would just be on my phone. Tapos talaga scroll lang ako ng scroll, mindlessly looking through my phone without minding the people around me. And that wasn't good because one, I was sacrificing my relationships with the people around me. And two, I wasn't doing anything productive with my time. And I was just looking at what other people were doing.
When I hear social media is bad, automatically the image that pops into my head is a huge family sitting on the table eating dinner, but everybody is looking at their phones.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But when I think about social media, I realized or I feel that it has become an evolution of the way that we communicate and we express. So think about it. From hundreds of years ago, people expressed themselves through art, through
Yeah.
painting, through
Letters.
sculptures, through writings and stories. And then that evolved. That turned into being able to express ourselves in movies,
Photographs.
in photographs, in through sports and fashion
Yeah.
and performance. And now I think that our medium of expression has grown and evolved into social media. So many people can now do this and
Yeah.
create different kinds of content in so many different kinds of forms. And it's given us the power. And as good as it is, just like anything, if there is an extreme good side, there will always be an extreme bad side. And like you said, it's the balance that comes in when you use these powerful platforms.
I think it's also our responsibility, diba, to really know what we're putting out there. Be responsible for your actions, be responsible for what you post, and take accountability. I think that's the most important thing for anything that you will post online.
Yeah, I think it's difficult for some of the maybe older people, the older generation. Actually, we're included in this older
Yeah.
generation because as communication media evolves, new rules have to be imposed. So some people would say, "Oh, okay, this is my personal Twitter account. Whatever I say, wala kayong pakialam." But the thing is, because it's in a public domain, there has to be new rules and new ways of going about these platforms.
Yeah.
New rules of etiquette and decorum. So I think that's why some people get in trouble because they use these platforms as if it were rules before social media was there.
Oo, baka akala nila wala silang kausap o walang makakabasa. Or maybe you think that it's a light joke, but you don't know pala na you're offending other people na pala.
Yeah, but this is all part of growing pains. When anything new comes in our lives, there are always growing pains. You're trying to feel your way out and see where is the balance of what kind of rules should we impose and what kinds of adjustments should we make as individuals and as a society.
Actually, when I think about it, our podcast was born because of social media, and we thought about behind relationship goals because of all the beautiful couple photos that we would see, or even people just commenting on our photos na goals kayo, perfect couple kayo. Pero sa totoo lang, hindi naman kami perfect, hindi naman kami super relationship goals. It's just that we're able to talk about our struggles and we're able to talk about how we deal with things together. And I think that's what makes our relationship blossom so well.
Yeah, this discourse on social media is so interesting. It could go on forever and ever, and it's always nice hearing different perspectives because what you hear from me and Bonizi, these are just two perspectives out of so many out there. Everybody has their own experiences and own perspectives. So if you do have, please do put it down in the comment section to enlighten us because I think as a people and as a society, we're all still learning. It's still evolving so rapidly. So we're just trying to keep up, all of us.
I think when it comes to our social media accounts now, one thing that Mikael and I always make it a point to do is to be more real with our posts because there was a time when we would just post work or just glam and there was a disconnect. There was definitely a disconnect. And parang I feel like social media is a way for people to get to know more of you as a person. So
without having to know you physically.
yes, exactly. So parang we just want to be able to share things that we love doing, like our tech, soba, even like things on the podcast. We just want to try to be as real as we can.
And as we wind down this podcast, Bonizi, I want to end this on a lighter note. So right now, what are your favorite social media apps?
My favorite social media apps would have to be Messenger.
Messenger? I don't like Messenger.
I didn't think that I would like Messenger, but it's so easy to get in touch with people and have groups there.
Okay.
It's such a nice chatting app for me because I can easily just talk to anyone on Messenger.
I don't like Messenger because it's the busiest app I have. It's like just messages, constant messages all the time from so many groups. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, Fofo is not a group chat kind of person. So please do not add him in your future group chats.
Please do not. Maawa na kayo sa akin. Me, my favorite social media app of the moment is Discord.
Discord.
Oh my God.
That's my second.
Just the functionality, the power, the techiness of Discord. I love it so much. For those who are not aware, Discord started out as a gaming messenger app. So it was made for gamers so that they could chat with one another while playing their games. But Bonizi and I saw the functionality of it and we were able to repurpose the features for work, for play, and for friends.
Yeah, so it's been our number one app that we use for, na all around naman siya. What's your next favorite app?
My next favorite app is more of a feature. I absolutely love the Instagram Facebook connection. Of course, Facebook bought Instagram, but I love that I can post my videos on Instagram and it automatically cross posts on Facebook because there are two completely different audiences there.
Yes.
So you get to tap different audiences, and if you guys have noticed, Bonizi and I, when we post, it's more video content now because it's something that we enjoy and we feel like video content is so unique. Photos, you can only go so far. It's one frame. A video is how many frames? Several hundred frames in 1 minute.
We've been enjoying taking videos and editing them because we realized na ang dami-dami nating ginagawa na binivideohan natin and we're not doing anything with it. So we might as well just edit it.
So our technique that Bonizi and I did is that we just go about our day and sometimes you just whip out your phone to video your partner or your friend na nadapa or baka napaso yung dila dahil mainit yung pansit canton. And Bonizi and I decided that we wanted to make cute content out of those crazy, silly, mundane moments that you go throughout the day. Sayang naman kasi when you look at your photo album, you look at it right now, so many unused content.
Yeah.
But when you really think about it and you really try to be creative, every single one of those can turn into something nice.
And with that, we are ending our podcast episode. Thank you so much to everybody that watched us and listened to us talk about our journey with social media.
And with that, we would like to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching or listening if you're on Spotify. I am Fofo. This is Bonizi. And Soba is down here. And this is #BehindRelationshipGoals. Bye-bye.